This Sunday, we have a rematch of Super Bowl 54 between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. And although this wasn't the people's pick for the Super Bowl matchup this year, I still think we're in for a good one. And quickly to sum up their meeting 4 seasons ago in 2020, this really felt like a game that the 49ers let get away. They led 20-10 entering the fourth quarter and melted down late in the game, which Kyle Shanahan teams have suddenly become prone to do, allowing 21 points unanswered. In the game, Jimmy Garoppolo threw 2 interceptions, and this moment kind of felt like the beginning of the end for Jimmy and San Francisco. After this all had happened, I think the 49ers realized that he wasn't quite good enough to get them over the hump, and sure enough, 2 drafts later, they traded the farm to draft Trey Lance, but that's an entirely different story for another day. For the Chiefs, this was easily their most dynamic offense of the Mahomes era. Prime Travis Kelce, prime Tyreek Hill, and even running back Damian Williams, who had over 100 yards in the game. And it did take them a while to get going with only 10 points through the first 3 quarters. The Niners defense also did force Mahomes into 2 turnovers, but they ultimately figured things out in the 4th and got it done. Now this time around, I feel like the identity of these teams has flip-flopped since their first matchup 4 seasons ago. The Chiefs have become a more defensive team with some of their offensive struggles and a lot of their assets the last couple of off seasons going to the defensive side, while the 49ers now have the more dynamic offense in this matchup with the additions of Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, and Brock Purdy. And I'm going to be fascinated to see how these units match up against one another, as they're 2 of the best units in all of football. The Chiefs defense ranked 2nd in the NFL, only allowing 16.8 points per game, and 2nd in total yards, only allowing 290 per contest. On the flip side, San Francisco averaged 29 points per game, which was 2nd in the league, while being 2nd in yards as well, averaging 398. So this is about as good of a heavyweight fight as you're gonna get. Now the other matchup in this game will obviously be the Chiefs offense against the 49ers defense, and this is surprisingly the less exciting battle despite Patrick Mahomes being involved. The Chiefs offense this year just has had so many issues, especially early on in the season, with wide receivers not being able to catch the ball, Travis Kelce being banged up and not himself, and a new set of tackles getting adjusted to a new team. They finished the season 15th in points with 22.1 a game, by far the worst average in the Mahomes era, with the 9th most yards with 351. To give them a little bit of credit, they have heated up in the playoffs, dropping 26 plus points in 2 of their wins. And San Francisco's defense, I feel like, has followed a similar trend. Some 49er fans might not agree with this, but I do think having a new coordinator in Steve Wilks made them start a little slow. I mean, they've had a lot of turnaround in that coordinator position the past few seasons, and I think that really showed itself during the 3-game losing streak from week 6 to 8. And after that stretch, there even were some rumblings about Wilks' future with the team, and Kyle Shanahan also made him get out of the booth and come down onto the field. But since that point, it's been pretty smooth sailing. They finished this season 3rd in points allowed with 17.5 a game and 8th in yards with 304. So the statistics are still fairly impressive, but I do believe this 49ers defense was better the first time these teams met in 2020. So it's kind of unique to see how the overall identities of these teams shifted in just a couple of years. Now, in terms of storylines revolving around the game, the Chiefs are looking to win back-to-back Super Bowls and be the first team since the 03 and 04 New England Patriots to do so. The 49ers, on the other hand, have not won a Super Bowl since 1995 and are actually on a 2-game losing streak in the big game, losing to the Ravens in 2013 and of course the Chiefs back in 2020. But they'll be looking to snap that streak and win their 6th Super Bowl in franchise history and tie the Steelers and the Patriots for the most in the NFL. Now I want to get into a little bit of statistics and betting trends to help you guys understand more about this matchup. Starting off with the Chiefs, they won the Super Bowl last year as underdogs after opening up as favorites against the Eagles in that game. This year, Kansas City is back and the underdogs once again. This is just the 3rd time in Super Bowl history that the defending Super Bowl champions were listed as underdogs in the Super Bowl the next season. 2 previous teams both lost, the 1979 Dallas Cowboys and the 2015 Seattle Seahawks. So the Chiefs can make history and be the first team to win back-to-back Super Bowls as being the underdog. And for the 49ers, they were favored in all 17 regular season games this year, the only team in the NFL to do that this season, and they were the favorites to win the Super Bowl entering the playoffs. They're the 10th team and the 5th 49ers team to accomplish both in the same season since 1980. 7 of the previous 9 teams made the Super Bowl, including 5 straight teams in the last 30 years, and 4 of which hosted the Lombardi Trophy. Now, an interesting topic for the Super Bowl matchup is the quarterbacks Patrick Mahomes and Brock Purdy. Mahomes, who was drafted with the 10th overall pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, has done nothing except for shatter records, win multiple MVPs and a couple Super Bowls in the first 7 years of his career. And I think it's fair to say through 7 years, he's been the best quarterback in NFL history. While Brock Purdy has had some similar success, but but had a completely different journey to reaching that. Purdy was the last selection in the 2022 NFL Draft and is famously known as Mr. Irrelevant. He came in late last season for Jimmy Garoppolo, who got hurt, and was flat out fantastic for the 49ers, going 8-0, including 2 playoff wins before tearing his UCL in the NFC Championship game against the Philadelphia Eagles. And who knows, if that injury never happened, maybe we saw the Super Bowl matchup last year instead of the Eagles and the Chiefs. But this year, after battling back from his UCL injury and having a full year to start, Purdy put up some of the best numbers in the league: 4,200 yards, 31 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. And throughout the year, whether you like it or not, he was a part of the MVP conversation. And I don't know about you guys, but I have been fairly impressed with his postseason performances. In each of them, he started a little bit slow. There was some adversity, like Deebo Samuel getting hurt, but in both games, he made a few key plays down the stretch to win it for the Niners. And I do think that more and more people are starting to realize that he is a bit more than just your typical game managing quarterback. But all that's to say that the Kansas City Chiefs have history on their side in regards to the quarterback matchup, as in the last 20 years, Super Bowl winning quarterbacks are 60, 24, and 2 as an underdog in the playoffs. Another fairly interesting topic of discussion is the coaches for both of these teams: Andy Reid for the Chiefs and Kyle Shanahan for the 49ers. Because of the 2-week gap, coaching is a huge factor in this game and how teams come out with their game plan. And Andy Reid is historically known as one of the best coaches with an extra week to prepare. When his teams are playing on a 13+ day rest outside of week number 1, his teams are 31-7 straight up, including 26-3 with Mahomes and Donovan McNabb as his quarterbacks. While Kyle Shanahan is also very good after a bye, he's also fairly good as a favorite. He is 6-0 as a favorite in the playoffs, and he's the only coach who is 5-0 straight up or better as a favorite in the playoffs since 2000. But something that has become a little bit worrisome is the 49ers into the playoffs this year, 4-42 straight up under Kyle Shanahan when trailing by 7 points or more in the second half. Unironically, the 49ers are 2-0 when trailing by 7 more points in the second half this postseason, but solely based on the coaches and the quarterbacks. Clearly, both of the sides have some nice trends to back in this Super Bowl matchup. I want to lastly close this video giving my prediction for this game. And honestly, I did not see the Kansas City Chiefs getting this far. I didn't think they were going to beat the Buffalo Bills on the road. I definitely didn't think they were going to beat the Baltimore Ravens on the road. And I regretted fading Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid twice in the playoffs. And if I'm honest, I just cannot do that again in the Super Bowl. I think the 49ers have the better team. I don't think that's really arguable. You just go player for player, you do a fantasy draft. The 49ers are going to have more top-end players drafted before the Chiefs. But Mahomes is just better than Brock Purdy. Andy Reid is just better than Kyle Shanahan. They have the pedigree, they have the experience, they have gotten over the hump before, where the 49ers have not. I do see the vision where the 49ers come out and get some revenge against the Chiefs for what they did a few seasons ago. I mean, there's a lot of similar 49ers players from the first matchup between these teams in 2020. So you know they're going to have some extra motivation to avenge their loss. And the Niners do have a very realistic pathway to winning. Chiefs run defense is the Achilles heel of that unit. And the 49ers have Christian McCaffrey, the best running back in football. So if the Chiefs defense lets him get loose and they cannot make the 49ers offense one-dimensional, it's going to be tough to stop them. So I do not want to make it seem like this is going to be a blowout or the 49ers are overmatched. I just think when it comes down to one game, having 2 weeks to prepare, the smarter side is to take the better coach, the better quarterback. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to officially submit my pick. The Kansas City Chiefs win 27-23, and Mahomes wins his 3rd ring and solidifies himself as one of the best quarterbacks of all time. But that is the preview of the Super Bowl and my prediction on who I think will win. I want to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you agree with me and think Mahomes and Reid will get it done? Or do you think this is finally the 49ers' year to get over the hump and win their first Super Bowl since 1995? But subscribe to the channel if you are new. Drop a like on the video if you did enjoy it. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I will catch you guys in my next one.